Come on, Fitzy.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike, and today we are going to do a deep dive on Deep Book. We're going to go through everything you need to understand about this project. We're going to go through the website. Just let me start the timer. 1 second, because we always overrun. Hopefully that has started. Try again. There we go. Perfect. Now we are back. So we are going to go through this project today. It is called Deep Book. It is a SUI-based project, one of the first SUI projects I have reviewed for GateIO. And we're going to go through as much of it as we can. We're going to go through the white paper. We're going to go through the roadmap. We're going to go through the tokenomics. Everything that you can see on the right hand side, we are going to try and cover today, including, of course, at the very end, my conclusion. What do I think of Deep Blue? Now, if you've watched a couple of these GateIO reviews before, you will know that I do not hold back. At the end, I am going to tell you whether to buy, hold, or sell. Okay? 3 options. I'm not going to give it 5 stars and 1 stars and all that kind of nonsense. I'm basically going to tell you whether you should buy, sell, or hold. Now, I'm also going to go through GateIO Startup, GateIO Startup Mining, and explain that a little bit. Now, the website is making me judder a little bit, so I'm going to close that one down for a minute, go straight to GateIO because that's where we're going to start. Close that down as well. There we go. Now then, for those of you that are new to GateIO, if you are watching on YouTube, there is a link underneath in the description that will take you to GateIO. If you come over and you join, you need to do 2 things. Number 1, you need to follow Crypto Warehouse because we are the font of all knowledge in the crypto universe. And number 2, you will get welcome bonuses upon welcome bonuses upon welcome bonuses. And one of the nicest features about GateIO, and I mean this sincerely, of all the exchanges that I am on and that we stream on, the startup section on GateIO for me is one of the coolest. Why? Because you get to see all of the really cool projects before anybody else. I can't mention names of other platforms, but all they do is put them live for trading. GateIO is different. It has this startup section. We don't have time today to go into a deep dive on this, but I'm just going to very quickly show you that when you go to GateIO, the second thing down beneath the exchange is the startup section, which takes you here, the token launch and airdrop section. Now, so far, they have given away $118 million worth of startup tokens. And the one that we're interested in today is this one down here, which I believe is called Deep. This one here. Now, we're going to go through it. As you can see, there's lots of different numbers on there. They probably don't mean anything to you. Basically, there is 1 day and 20 hours left before this starts its journey into going live. The 3 or 4 days before it goes live, you can come along here, and this button here that says subscribed, this will be blue. And this will say something like 0 free to claim. or $0 to claim, something along those lines. Now, when you click on it, you go through to a kind of one-pager about the project, and that will give you pretty much everything you need to know about the project. It doesn't give you my opinions, but still, it's decent enough. So as you can see here, there are 18,500 GateIO users which have subscribed to the project. Now, why do you do that? The reason is, the more VIP power that you have on GateIO, the more free tokens you get. So if you came along today and joined and deposited $50, for example, you'd be VIP 0, and that would give you a lucky draw. If you have less than 10 GT tokens as well, you're also entered into the lucky draw, depending on what type of startup it is. I am VIP 2, but this is a GT holders reward. You need to hold 10 GT tokens. I currently have about 5. I need to pull my finger out and get more. But you would be able to claim more tokens. The more VIP level and power you have, the more you get. So VIP 1 might get 20 shares. VIP 2 might get 40 shares. But enough of that. Let's go through this. So this is the startup page. On here, you click that button. In 2 days' time, it will start trading. That would be Monday morning, around about midday, I think. Midday on Monday if you're in the UK. Or sorry, midday if you're in Europe. 11 a.m. if you're in the UK, and probably 4 or 5 p.m. if you're further around the world. Now, there is a short section here on Deep Book, but we don't need to look at that because we're going to go through the website together. And I am going to try and keep an eye on chat. Good morning in the know. I hope you are well. I am not doing too badly for the wobbly head, to be honest. Right then. Now, there is something I need to warn you all about. That is the risk warning. And I'm going to cover this at the end of the show because it's very important you understand everything you do in crypto has a certain element of risk. Some things are riskier than others. Meme coins are far riskier than Bitcoin, and investing in a startup is far riskier than investing in the likes of Sui, Solana, or Ethereum. The startup project is still in its initial stage. Factors including the operation and underlying technology of the project and other related regulatory activities might contribute to significant risks. Advanced technical and financial knowledge is required to understand and evaluate the inherent risks of crypto asset investment. The volatility of the market is high, and the price of the token might fluctuate drastically due to technical, regulatory, or marketing factors. And finally, users may not be able to withdraw all the purchased tokens due to technical issues of the project or GateIO. That is a risk warning I read out at the beginning of every review. It is not specific to Deep Book. I read it out last week, the week before, the week before. You need to understand this. Now, when I get to the end of the stream, I'm going to explain to you a little bit about portfolio and risk management and why it's so important that you understand it. And I was in your shoes once. I thought if I just put all of my money into X or Y, it was going to 100X. And I've learnt over many years and many grey hairs that you need to have a diversified portfolio. Now, very quickly then, before we move on to the actual website, a very brief synopsis of Deep and Evan Cheng. DeepBook is a next-generation decentralized central limit order book. CLOB. Nice name. Built on Sui, DeepBook leverages Sui's parallel. I have no idea whether that's a typo or not. Sub-second latency and low transaction fees to bring a high performance. I think there's got some typos in here because there's words I don't recognize. Fast on-chain exchange. DeepBook order book architecture delivers deep and tight liquidity, enabling frontier price ocean. I've never heard of this word. For on-chain trading, for liquidity providers in particular, DeepBook delivers stronger control over price orders than traditional automatic market maker models. There are some typos in there, absolutely. I can see an A at the end of there that shouldn't be there. So Evan Cheng is the co-founder and CEO of Miston Labs. Miston Labs, pretty famous in crypto. the developer behind the groundbreaking SUI Layer 1 protocol. In addition to being the winner of the prestigious 2012 ACM Software System Award, Evan has an extensive background in platform development, with more than 24 years building developer-facing technology and leading engineering teams at companies such as Apple and Facebook. Let me just bring that down just a touch. Okay, so that's pretty much it from there. I've explained how this works. There really isn't a lot to go through on here without getting into the project. We are... A timer. What time is it now? Let me go back to the timer. What time? 11:39. Right, okay, so I think we've got 50 minutes. Let me just put the timer on. If I don't have the timer on, we overrun by a country mile. So let me just very quickly put that on. There we go. That's about right, I think. Give or take a minute. It doesn't really matter if we overrun by 5 minutes. I just want to make sure that I get through the project in a reasonable speed. So we've been through the startup section. Next thing we're going to do, and I'm probably going to go quite choppy, is we're going to go through their website and basically do a deep dive on everything we can find. I have found some information on the project that I want to cover, but I think the animation is really going to mess the screen up, so I'm going to bring this down. So these are probably what you would say their unique selling points: deep liquidity, highly composable, high throughput, low latency, dynamic, low fees. DeepBook's liquidity isn't just deep, it's an ocean. Very nice. Get smooth trades with minimal slippage. Highly composable. The backbone of SUI's DeFi: build, scale, and let DeepBook handle the heavy lifting. Very nice indeed. High throughput, low latency, unlike this website. Ultra low predictable costs with lightning fast 390 millisecond settlement times, blink and it's done. Dynamic low fees. DeepBook is engineered for high frequency and large volume. Very nice. Now just give me 1 second, because I do believe that the website, people who build these websites, they need a bit of a word with, because these websites do tend to crash an awful lot. So give me 1 second while I just sort this out. Okay, there we go. Bear with me. I'm going to restart it again. Again, the problem I have with lots of these websites is they simply do not work. They are built for, I don't know. There's no code consideration when they put these websites together. So let's try again, shall we? Let's make sure this comes back up. Okay, we are back. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This website is terrible. Okay, right. There is an issue with their website, and I am supposed to do a review of it. Okay, what we will do is we're gonna go and have a look at the white paper. That's what we're gonna do, because I can't go to a website that keeps crashing every 2 seconds. So let's go and look at the white paper. Now, to be fair, there is the majority of information is in the white paper. So the website isn't super important. Basically, in a nutshell, Deep Blue provides liquidity for lots of different types of projects. Good morning, DJ. I hope you are well. We are struggling manfully with the website of Deep Blue. So I am there we go. I'm going to go through the white paper. It's the only thing I can do. The website is hanging, it's crashing. I honestly don't know why, but it's not as important as reading through the white paper. So I don't really care if the website doesn't want to work. I'm just going to get through this. So what are the reasons that you would use DeepBook? Number one, it's quick. Number 2, it's cheap. Number 3, it has deep liquidity. As it says, it's like an ocean. Okay, so there are many reasons to use Deep Blue, and for me personally, well, the thing is, DJ, you won't have heard of it because it's not live. It is brand new. That's the thing. This is a GateIO review, so the project, the token itself, doesn't go live until Monday. So when I do these reviews, these are reviews of projects which are up and coming. Normally I do them Friday afternoons, Saturdays. They are projects which the token hasn't gone live on. We've covered many other types of tokens before, some meme coins, some layer 2s, some AI projects, and DeepBook. Now this is the first one I've reviewed which is on Sui. Most of the time they are on the smart chain, they are on Ethereum, or they're in an Ethereum layer 2. This one is on Sui. So it is a next generation decentralized central limit order book, CLOB. Built on Sui, it leverages the parallel execution. There we go, exec. That's the word that was missing. So it's parallel execution, not parallelution. So obviously the word exec has been stripped out of their text for various reasons. Low transaction fees to bring a highly performant, low latency exchange on chain. The latest development iteration of DeepBook is version 3. DeepBook? Why can't people read these days? DeepBook v3 is currently available in DevNet and Testnet. DeepBook v2 is the current mainnet iteration of DeepBook. So DeepBook is open for community development. You can use the Sui improvement proposals, the SIPs, to suggest changes to make DeepBook better. And there are the links off towards some of them. These are the framework documents. This is the information about the project. We are not going to spend an hour talking about the ins and outs of how a moneymaker works and how pool and liquidity creators work. That's not what this is about. This is about whether we think that DeepBook is something that's going to be a success or not. Right, now, I'm going to try one last time to use their website. And every time I've done this so far, it has crashed. In fact, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to use a different browser. So I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, so the screen is going to go black. I'm not Darren Brown. Okay, do not worry. I will be back. The screen may be black, but my heart is white and pure. Now let's see if it works in Chrome. Because if it works in Chrome, then we are all good to go. Right, okay, so should we try again? We appear to be working a little bit better on this website. It's a little bit better, I think. I'd say. Yeah, okay, well, we can scroll. It doesn't freeze the screen. So we're back on the website. The future of DeFi is fast, cheap, and efficient. There we go. Now then, we've already been through the gentleman that built this. He was part of the team at Sui. So you find this quite a lot. Blockchains and layer 2s that build themselves out. Occasionally, from time to time, one of the developers or a couple of members of the team will split off from the main team and go and build another app. If Sui is going to be a success as a blockchain, it needs liquidity. If it needs liquidity, it needs a version of DeepBook. You can go to Solana and you can find projects over there that provide liquidity. So Jupiter, for example, it's an aggregator. It's not a DEX. It doesn't have the liquidity. It finds the cheapest prices. You can go and have a look at Base. You can go and have a look at Arbitrum. There are always the liquidity providers that sit behind everybody. If Sui is going to be a success and it wants its own DEXs and aggregators and DeFi platforms, it needs this, okay? Now, again, I am not paid to like this project. I am paid to review this project. There is a wholly different ball game at play here. I'm going to have a look at this and tell you if I think it's decent or not. And if I don't think it's decent, I'll tell you. But DeepBook is a required project on SUI. The question is, and we're going to answer that in the next 45 minutes, in whether it's the right answer to the problem that they've got. That's the key here. So it's going to provide liquidity. Where is it going to get the liquidity from? That's the question I'm going to ask. From its inception, it's provided developers with reliable, composable on-chain apps and enabled market makers and liquidity pools to operate seamlessly within the blockchain. As a community-driven public good, DeepBook has integrated within top DEXs and aggregators since SUI's mainnet launch, enhancing dApps with efficient, censorship-free liquidity. The synergy of order book efficiency and blockchain transparency positions DeepBook as a premier liquidity provider in Web3. Looking ahead, the vision is to remain the foundation of SUI's ecosystem. So this is live. That's what I'm gathering. It just doesn't have a token yet. With its robust liquidity layer and SUI's advanced architecture, DeepBook is set to lead the next generation of Web3 finance. Very good. So these are, I suppose, we've already been through what we think the unique selling points are. I imagine these are the tenets of DeepBook and why it exists. It is to leverage SUI's superior latency enabled by Mysticeti. DeepBook delivers DeFi's most performant order book, enabling fast and frequent trading strategies. Secure and fully on-chain. DeepBook conducts everything fully on-chain, including order routing, matching, and settlement. A trustless DEX with no middlemen. DeepBook values transparency, featuring an open source code that anyone can audit at any time. Fostering a deep, richer trading ecosystem, Deep Token aligns incentives in a decentralized platform, acting as the glue between makers, takers, token holders. It ensures DeepBook's liquidity provision, trading, and governance structure can flourish. Very nice. Again, little bit flat on the surface, doesn't go into any depth at all. We are not going to go and have a look at GitHub. There is absolutely no point in looking at code. If we wanted to look at code, we'd get the Oracle to do this. And we don't need to do that because this is a review of DeepBook as a business, as a project, not as from a technical standpoint. There's no point in doing that. So here are the features, which are what we've already read on the front page, plus a few more. Capital efficiency, flash loans. Now, I am not a massive fan of flash loans because that is where the majority, sorry, I'm just looking for my other phone so I can keep an eye on chat, which there are a couple of messages that I'm going to keep an eye on. So give me 1 second. Remember, if you're new here, you are more than entitled to ping while I'm streaming and ask any questions about this project. If I know the answer, I will tell you. If I don't know the answer, unfortunately, I will say I do not know. So let me very quickly go and have a quick look at chat. Cancel, like. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe to the stream. Stupid question. When you say it provides liquidity, how does it? People buy tokens. Okay, so basically what happens is the way that these pools work is there is if you've got 50 SUI or 1,000 SUI, you can deposit them in a DeFi platform and you can deposit them into a liquidity pool. So let's say it's SUI and USDC. That's then managed by somebody like DeepBook. Somebody goes to a DEX on SUI and says, right, I want to buy $1,000 of SUI. They put that in. That DEX or aggregator will go to DeepBook and whoever else there are providing the liquidity pools, and it will find the best price for your SUI USDC. And we're talking fractions of a cent. You know, it might be $2 here, it might be $2.50 cent over here, and it will provide you with the $2 price. That then will use the liquidity pool that users have deposited their funds in to then provide you with that trade. And you hear of pairs. So you'll hear of pairs on exchanges, like 6 pairs are now open for you to trade SUI. And they will normally be things like USDT, USDC, whatever it might be. Exchanges themselves need other exchanges sometimes to provide liquidity. So small exchanges need to use the liquidity of big exchanges. Believe it or not, that goes on. So you will get the likes of GateIO, which is a top 10, top 7 exchange in the world. And then you might have 20 small exchanges around Asia that will use GateIO as a liquidity provider. And all that means is access to the order book or access to the liquidity pool. If you put $1,000 into the SUI USDC pool, you don't end up with $1,000. You might end up with $500 of SUI and $500 of USDC. And DeepBook manage those pools as one thing that they do. Of course, they do many other things. And what's important is the speed of these transactions. So if you go to DeepBook and you get a quote of $2, and you go over here and get a quote of $2.50, if DeepBook is atomically quick, then DeepBook is going to get the faster price to you and probably the transaction. So they manage all of these liquidity pools in the background as one of their things, okay? One of the elements that they do. Of course, they do the flash loans, but for you to loan money, somebody needs to borrow the money. So again, they are basically creating like a marketplace for people to meet and trade, okay? You have obviously got peer-to-peer, which we've known about. That's how it all started, where you go onto a platform and it says, I'm going to sell one Bitcoin for $66,000, and then you go and buy it for $66,000, and that's a direct trade. Nowadays, we've got liquidity pools where you have pairs. There is something called impairment loss, which we're not going to get into again on here, but that's the big risk with putting money into liquidity pools. You might see a liquidity pool on DeepBook, or not DeepBook, but one of the DeFi platforms that will say SUI USDC 60%. And you'll think that's absolutely amazing. I'm going to put my money in there. But if your SUI goes up 300%, you're only going to see 150% of that gain plus whatever percentage of the 60%. So you actually lose out. There are inherent risks with liquidity pools, but that's again going off on a tangent. So I hope that helps answer some of those questions. Entry and exit important in crypto. Exactly, it is. It's super important in crypto. You can. Here's a good one for you. If you own $1 million of SUI and you want to sell all of that SUI and get out, okay? Somebody has to buy that $1 million of SUI off you. That's where DeepBook would come in, because they will have a liquidity pool for SUI USDC. And that is where you would find your $1 million of sales. The issue, as Kishan's just pointed out, is liquidity. If you have $1 million of SUI to sell and there are only $200,000 on the order book, you can only sell $200,000 worth of SUI. And that won't be at the price you want. That will be you selling it at $2, $175, $140, $120, $110, because the order book will have different orders on it. So it's important. Liquidity is the most important thing to DEXs, DeFi, and that's what DeepBook are trying to do. And that's why, as I said at the beginning, you've got some of these like super bods, these super brains. The team behind SUI, I think, came from Meta or Google, one of the two. But they are a super team. That's the key. Got some messages. Yeah. Sounds like it plays chess. It does. It does. My exchange needs it. They take a lot. Yeah, exactly. Sendwell candle. Exactly. I mean, the thing is, that's a really important point you've made there, is that in the bull run, the sellers, which is you guys, you're going to be selling on the SUI blockchain using DeepBook, and the buyers are going to be retail. So you hear this expression, which is retail becomes our exit liquidity. That's a term that everybody uses, okay? Some people say, oh, we're going to dump on retail. I don't like the way people say that. But as I said the other week on the stream, somebody bought Bitcoin at its previous all-time high. Somebody bought SUI at $2.20 or whatever the price it hit recently was, probably using DeepBook. Now that $2.20 sale through DeepBook, that individual became your exit liquidity and you got the highest price for SUI possible. Now, there's always going to be a buyer and a seller in a bull run when the market starts to rip to the upside. And that's where you need the likes of DeepBook, because believe you me, when we start to see massive FOMO and some of these coins absolutely rip, because you got to remember, the majority of people in crypto have never seen a parabolic run, okay? It's frightening. 4 years ago, not to the day, maybe 3 years ago, I went for a walk and it took me an hour to go on that walk. And in the time it took me to go for that walk, Bitcoin had moved $6,000 or $7,000 to the upside. Ethereum, Solana, everything was ripping on the same day. It was the most insane thing you've ever seen. And it does last for a couple of weeks. But DeepBook, if DeepBook and the likes of DeepBook didn't exist, you wouldn't be able to get out at those prices, because the liquidity would be so shallow that any sells would drive the price down. Or if there's too many sells and too many buys going on, everything grinds to a halt. We know certain exchanges close when Bitcoin goes on a pump. They just shut down because they can't cope. That's the point of using something like DeepBook. Obviously, you don't use DeepBook if you're using GateIO, because that's where you should be doing your trades on GateIO. But if you have SUI in your wallet and you go to trade it on the SUI blockchain in a year's time, you'll probably use something like DeepBook. Right then, so what are we on to now? So that, I think that pretty much covers everything from the features of DeepBook. It's a liquidity tool to just keep everything flowing, everything smooth, on and off ramping, as Kishan said. Now they have got, appears to be, a trading platform. So we're going to go and have a little look. And again, I don't have a wallet. I don't think I've got a wallet on here that I can connect. Probably going to want MetaMask or something. Oh, okay. So you can't, I get it. Okay. This is liquidity provider. These are the platforms that you could go and use that use DeepBook. So there's quite a few of them. I think, what is that? 7. So you've got 7 different dexes there. Aftermath, Flow, Cetus, Hop, Aggregator, Turbos. To be honest, I hold SUI. I think probably got about $1,000 of SUI now, something like that. I don't know what I've got, maybe a bit more. And I've never taken it off GateIO. So it's always there. It's always been there. So again, I'm not likely to have heard of these. But as you can see, they're all dexes. So these are the people you go and buy directly through. Yeah, I think the problem with exchanges is, or certain exchanges anyway, that when the price does rip to the upside, the spread increases. So when in a period of quite low market trading, you might see a spread of 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 bips. So 0.1, 0.2, 0.3%. And when it rips, you're going to see spreads of 2 or 3%. And that's going to be absolutely insane. You know, you don't notice it when the price of Bitcoin is so low or SUI is so low. So for example, if SUI is $2 with a 1% spread, that's 2 cents a coin. You don't notice it at that level. But imagine if SUI was $200,000. That 1% spread would be $2,000 on that trade. And same, I mean, Bitcoin's going to be the most obvious one. When Bitcoin gets to $100,000 and people want to sell at $100,000, they're going to be so shocked when they get $98,500 back, because nobody sees the spreads, and the spreads will get bigger quite a lot of the time. Also, don't forget the buy and sell orders, they tend to stack quite a lot. So that's why you see prices dump, because people will put in orders for SUI at $1.90, $1.80. So that's why you see these massive jumps down in certain candles at certain times, because the orders sit at increments. They don't sit at 199, 98, 97, 96 so much. They're more concentrated around psychological numbers. We talk about this all the time. Bitcoin is going to struggle at $70,000, $80,000, $100,000. We saw Sui, the coin that this platform is on, we saw that struggle at $2. It broke through $2, and now I think it's still sitting on top of $2. I don't know, we'd have to check. So it's a good thing to understand that. There we go. I was just making sure that the stream, well, not the stream, the background was still working. Fees to be considered a lot. Sometimes eats the profit after selling banks their profits. Exactly. That's the thing. You've got your bank taking profits. You've got the taxman quite rightly taking their profits. So, you know, if you make $100,000, you're probably going to walk away with $40,000 to $50,000 after you've paid all the different fees to exchanges and the banks and your taxes and everything else. You're probably going to walk away with $40,000 to $50,000. That's something to bear in mind. And again, the conversation is, do you take your funds off chain or do you keep them on chain? And that's a big question. And I'm going to answer that in a different stream. But for me, I mean, this is a solid project. Again, it's what's needed. The one thing you got to understand is, and I say this quite a lot, there are sexy projects and there are not sexy projects. But look at real life. What makes money in real life? Packaging. Look at the guy that invented the wrapping for bacon and whatever. Recycling. It's now sexy, yes. It wasn't sexy for 40 years. You know, glass, paper, plastic, they are not sexy products. Storage rooms are not sexy. But you know what? They make a fortune. I say this all the time. DEXs and aggregators are always going to have great bull runs, every single bull run, without fail, irrespective of whether it's gaming or DeFi as the narrative, whether it's real world assets as the narrative, whether if you go back to the metaverse of 3 years ago, it doesn't matter. DeFi's, aggregators, money makers, liquidity pool providers, they make money because they trade. They trade during the bull run. You trade on them during the bull run. They make massive fees. But guess what happens in the bear market? It follows the same path down, and it's like a spirit level, or it floats. And when the market pumps, it perfectly balances with these providers. That is why they're so important. If you go to a blockchain that doesn't have deep book or something similar, that's not going to have very deep liquidity. And the money made on those platforms will leave the platforms to go to an exchange or be transferred to another blockchain to get the funds off the chain, because there's no liquidity. And when I mean no liquidity, what I was saying before was, if you went to sell at $1 million of Sui and you can't get a good price on deep book because there's no liquidity on it, what are you going to do with your $100,000, $1 million of Sui? You're going to send it to an exchange. So the exchange gets the business, which is great for GateIO, yes. But if you want to stay in DeFi, if you want to stay in the world of decentralization, you need the liquidity to make your trades. The same if you want to buy $1 million worth of Sui. If you can't buy it because the liquidity isn't there on the DEXs, you're going to go to the centralized exchange. Some people don't want to do that, which is fine. Right, let me move on. Yeah, right then. Okay, so let's move on very quickly. What are we, 12:08? How long do we have left? 22 minutes. Right, we probably better look at the token. So what I'm going to do, for those of you that are new and haven't seen one of these before, I go through the website, I go through what the project does, I look at the tokenomics of the token, and I give you my opinion of the tokenomics here. Then I go back to GateIO, show you how to take part in Deep Book's go live, and then I give you my conclusion. And in between that, I will be looking at their socials. We're going to go and have a look at Deep Book on X as well, go through some of their tweets. Now, 3 things that are important to me in a project. The tokenomics are the most important thing for me. okay? The second most important thing to me is the team, and the team being doxed. Who are they? What is their experience? Where do they come from? What do they know about blockchain technology? And thirdly, and not super importantly, is the roadmap, okay? Where have they come from? Where are they going to? Right. So far in DeepBook, we've seen the head guy. He's part of the SUI team. I've reviewed SUI, made a video a year ago about it. It's a solid project. It needs adoption, but it's getting there. The roadmap, we don't really need to see the roadmap, to be fair, because it's live. So we can bin that one. This is now the most important thing about the project. And DeepBook's token is, of course, called Deep. And hopefully, we are going to go into why this Deep token is worth keeping. Remember what I said as well? I'm going to tell you whether I'm going to buy, hold, or sell this token. And I'm going to be honest, because that's what I am here for. So, what's the utility of this token? Payment of trading fees, pool creation fees. Again, it makes perfect sense. Why? Because if you run a project like this, you don't want to be using SUI. You don't want to be using a third-party token because you have no control over it. You have no control over the circulating supply or anything. These projects, sometimes you need to look at them like sovereign states and countries. You know, if your currency happens to be the US dollar and you are a small island like Samoa, you have no control over the dollar or the supply or the price or anything. So you have no control. You can't set interest rates. It's a mess. If you've got your own token, you know the supply, you can change the taxation on it, you can increase or decrease the supply as much as you want because you can introduce higher or lower trading fees. You can have different tiers of trading fees for different levels of DEXs and maybe even direct clients. So again, it's useful to have your own token. This, you know, not everything in the world needs a token, but DEXs, aggregators should have their own token because it's what you pay with. It's the same with the GT token. Holding the GT token, you can use it to reduce your trading fees, you can hold it and you can stake it, you can use it for mining. It has a purpose within the ecosystem, okay? And I think GT token is something that's going to go up in value over the period of the bull run, and then like everything else, it will decrease in value. Of course it will, but it's a utility token and that's what you need. So liquidity, rebates to market makers during low liquidity periods and volume discounts to liquidity takers. These mechanisms ensure minimal slippage and a robust trading environment. Now, one of the things that I like about this, there's something in crypto called bribery, and it sounds worse than it is. It's not anything immoral. And if you have a liquidity pool, so let's say you've got the SUI, let's say SUI is paired with PYUSD. Let's say PayPal moves to SUI and there's no liquidity. There's no liquidity. There's $10,000 worth of SUI PYUSD. The pool isn't going to be used. So what they do is they offer you incentives. They're called bribes. So if you put your SUI or your PYUSD into that liquidity pool, they can bribe you with Deep tokens. So they can say you're going to earn 4% plus 6% in Deep tokens. So you're going to earn 10% by putting your funds into that liquidity pool. Whereas if you used USDC or USDT and SUI, you're only going to be getting 2, 3, 4%. Okay, so it's bribery. And this rebates, discounts, all of this stuff falls under liquidity. If you want, if you've got $100,000 in USDC earning 4%, and somebody says to you, move it over here and you'll get 10%, that's 1.5 times, 150% more interest for being in PYUSD, which is as safe as USDC because, of course, they're both stable coins. So you're going to move your funds around, and that helps them rebalance their liquidity pools. Governance, you will be involved in pool level governance, adjusting staking requirements and fees. And again, I don't think that, I mean, I know this is the buzzword, governance is the buzzword, DAOs are the buzzword. If you hold 50 tokens and each one of them runs a vote every month, are you going to be voting 2 times a day and maybe having a few Sundays off? Because I can't see the need for people to vote on so many different aspects. I get the governance of DEXs, I get the governance of aggregators, I get all of that, but now everyone's doing a DAO. What I think we need is some kind of wallet connected DAO monitor that just shows you all the different proposals in one place, because every project we've covered on GateIO in the last 2 months have had a DAO, and it's not going to work because you can't expect people to vote 50 or 100 times a month. It's ridiculous. You know, I think Jupiter have 1 vote a month, which is fine. But again, if you've got 50 projects and that's 50 votes a month, that's still nearly 2 votes a day, with Sundays off, of course. Right then, moving very quickly on. So this is the breakdown of the token. There are 10 billion tokens. The initial circulating supply is 2.5 billion, 2.5 billion circulating supply, max supply 10 billion. Again, I am not a huge fan of having a 25% circulating supply. That means inflation will be 300% over whatever period of time those tokens are unlocked, unless they introduce token burns, and that's a different story. However, 25% of the supply is unlocked at Genesis. Tokens will be released over 7 years. Okay, so if you've got 7 billion tokens and they are released over a period of 7 years, does it do a breakdown? There we go. I will have a look at that in a minute then. I'm not going to go off on one. This is the breakdown of the token. So the ecosystem, 61.57%, 28.43% for core contributors and early backers, 10% for the community airdrop. What do I think of that? I think that's pretty good. I think when you start getting towards 40% allocation towards the backers, the VCs and the team, that's almost half the circulating supply, and half the total supply as well. Again, I think that's not bad. 71.5% to the project, the airdrop and the ecosystem, I think is perfectly fine, perfectly adequate. So let's move on down here. 14% locked at token generation event, followed by a 7-year unlock again. There's a 3-year unlock, 1-year cliff, 24-month linear unlock. So for the first year, nobody is going to dump on you. Then after that, there are 24 incremental blocks of that being released, which I'm working it out is about 1% a month of the circulating supply. That will be the sell pressure potentially from this project. Now again, we're looking at all of this in isolation. This project is going to run through this bull run coming and the next bull run coming. That is 5 years. So that's 2 bull runs, 5 years. And then the 7 years will take you to 2 years past the bear market. So potentially you're going to see people not selling for about 7 or 8 years, because you're going to want to sell by next October. But then the next October to sell really is October 2029. But we will move on. So Deep will be distributed over the next 7 years. And that is the breakdown. Community reserve, Miston Labs, early employees, investors, and the initial airdrop. So if you look across the bottom there, we are on year 0. Okay, that's 25% roughly. If we go forward 12 months, we're at 35%. Okay, then we're at 45%. So 45%, that's quite a big release of tokens over the first year, in my opinion. Then you've got quite a steep curve for the next 2 years, where it'll go from 45 to 75%. So that's 30% of the token will be released over that time. That's some very steep inflation on your coins, and that would be a worry for me, if I'm being honest. Let's move on. How long do we have left? 11 minutes, is that all? Right, okay. I didn't realise we'd gone off on such a tangent, but I think we've got to the bottom of what the project is. And hopefully I've given some of you guys out there an explanation of why you need, should have called it deep pockets, why you need deep pockets to provide this level of liquidity. So let's go over then and very quickly have a look at X. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch browsers back to the browser that I was using. So give me a second to bring this up. And we're going to go and have a look at their socials now. And of course, we always talk on here. I sound like a stuck record. I know I say the same things all the time. But what I say, I believe is important. And that's very simply that you need to do your own research. And you need to understand that doing your own research, did that come up then? Are we, yes, no, hang on. Give me a second. I thought I'd already picked the window. There we go. Okay. So I talk a lot about doing your own research. What I mean by that is pretty much what we've done in this video. Go and look at their website. Go and look at the tokenomics of the project. Go and look at the team. Go and look at the roadmap if there is one. Go and read the white paper. And then, when you understand what the project is about, you come over to Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and you give them a follow, okay? Because you're reading static information that was written at a certain point of time in the past. It's not current information. That's why you've got to go and follow them on Twitter. Now, some people will go and follow them on Telegram. That's great if you want to read 500 or 600 messages a day. You can go and follow them in Discord. Again, very difficult to follow, and Discord gets hacked all the time, okay? So the best place that I have found for you to get the information you need is to go and follow them on X. Now, they're coming in here, nearly 30,000 followers. They've followed by BitBoy of all people. We're happy to announce that Deep Book version 3 and the Deep token will launch on Sui on Monday, the 14th of October. These two announcements make a major development in liquidity within the Sui ecosystem while introducing fundamental decentralization and governance. Very good. It's not just a liquidity layer, it's the connective tissue of Sui's DeFi. By unifying liquidity across protocols, it boosts capital efficiency and streamlines trading across Sui. DeepBook's CLOB makes DeFi smoother, faster, and more scalable for everybody. Now then, there are lots of things to understand in this project. So I would highly recommend you go and spend half an hour looking at stuff like this. It's going to help you understand what their project is about. Now, this is the list of dexes that we covered earlier on. We went and saw that I think they've got 7 dexes that they're connected up with. There's going to be a comment down here. I'm sure they're going to talk about the GateIO connection. Again, one thing we haven't mentioned all stream, USDC is now on Sui. So again, you need liquidity, you need stable coins. PYUSD, USDC, USDT. There's some TUSD, I think, is still knocking around. So there's plenty of them out there. And again, this token is, this project is what's needed for pretty much everybody. So that is it from the website. I need to get onto the conclusion. Right then, let's very quickly head back here. And very quickly go through the startup again. Is it going to make me log in again? I hope not. I'm in. Perfect. Okay, so very quickly then, we have 6-7 minutes left to do this again and then go through my conclusion. So first of all, my personal message to you is you need to carry out risk and portfolio management. Big words, what do they mean? If you've got $10,000 and you are looking to diversify your portfolio and you've got Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana and all those other coins, and you want to look at liquidity providers, DEXs, aggregators, you should be looking to set aside maybe 5% of your portfolio for these types of projects. That's $500 out of 10,000. Then you should be picking, let's say, 5 projects. And let's say you pick Jupiter, let's say you pick Aero, let's say you pick Uniswap, let's say, who else would you pick? Radium or Orca, for example, because Solana's going to do incredibly well. Base is going to do incredibly well. Uniswap, again, over on Ethereum and the layer 2s. DeepBook is not a DEX, but it's a project that sits behind the DEXs providing the liquidity. So again, you could look at something like DeepBook. So what I'm trying to say is, if you've got $10,000 and you want to buy 5 DEX aggregator moneymaker coins, you should be looking at putting $100 in each if you've got a 5% allocation. So it's not to do with which 5 coins should you buy to have a DeFi stroke DEX bag. It's an example of how much you should be thinking of putting into the likes of DeepBook, Uniswap, Jupiter, Aero. That's the point that I'm trying to make. With DeepBook, the project is live. It's gone through its roadmap. It's there. There isn't much more of a roadmap to start with for the likes of DeepBook other than adding pairs and liquidity. That's pretty much how it needs to expand itself. So when new tokens appear on Sui, DeepBook needs to make sure there's a pair there available. So Sui pairs, USDC pairs, they're essential. Now, I don't know whether DeepBook is going to be a blow-off-top success and be a $2 billion project. I can't say that because the token hasn't even gone live. But what I'm trying to say is, take a small allocation of your portfolio, if you have an allocation left, and have a look at some of these DEXs and projects I've just been talking about. And DeepBook is one of them. Now, you come along here, GateIO. There's a link in the description on YouTube to come to GateIO. Click it, register, do your KYC. First thing you need to do is go over to live stream and follow Crypto Warehouse. The most important thing for you to do. Second most important thing to you is to go to startup. Okay? GateIO has a startup section. It's better than everybody else's. It's got all the tokens on here. You can see all the tokens that are going to go live before everybody else shows you them. Okay? And I know this from experience. I'm on other exchanges as well. And this is the best list, bar none. Now, are all of these projects going to be a massive success? No. Are some of these projects going to fail and go as close to zero as possible? Yes. However, some of them are going to explode. And I can't tell you, because I don't have a crystal ball, which ones are going to explode. But you can get free tokens by having a VIP membership. So if you've got $500, $2,000, $4,000 on GateIO, you get VIP 1, VIP 2, VIP 3, whatever it might be, and you get them for free. If you hold more than 10 GT tokens, you get these tokens for free. I've got 4.5, 5, something like that. I need to go and buy more. I know I keep saying it every week, but I really do. Then you will get, instead of having a lucky draw, you get guaranteed shares. Okay? Go and do that. It's free to sign up to GateIO. It's free to do the KYC. If you put, I think, $15 into GateIO, you can get a lucky draw and everything. That's it, a lucky draw. You might get 10 cents, 50 cents, $1 worth of tokens by clicking a button once a day. And do it on your app because it's super, super easy on your app. So that's pretty much it from this. I've got 2 minutes left, good grief, to give you my conclusion. So Normally this is where I put my laptop down and lean back in the chair, but I'm on camera today, so I can't do that. So I've got to sit in this position with my massive bald head. DeepBook is, I don't like sexy projects, because the sexy projects are the ones that get all of the pumpy, dumpy style influencers following them. I like solid, well thought out, clever, needed, useful projects. Now, we talked about EigenPi, we talked about the EigenLayer, we've talked a lot about BNB based DeFi on here over the last few weeks. We've also talked a lot about layer 2s, AI layer 2s, gaming layer 2s, and things like that. They've all got a place, okay? What makes DeepBook fall into, let's say, the top 10 reviews we've done? It's not a top 3, might even be top 5, but what puts it up there is the fact it's not sexy. But, oh my days, if Sui takes off, DeepBook and all of those dexes that you have seen when we've done this review, they're all going to basically 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30x, okay? For a period of time. Not going to do that in the bear market, but as the bull run runs up. If Sui, as many people are led to believe, if Sui is going to be the blockchain of this bull run, the same way that Solana was the blockchain of the previous bull run, if Sui is going to be the bull run king or darling of 2025, then everything on Sui is going to rip. Now, personally, I only hold Sui. I have no other token on Sui. I have never used Sui because it only launched May last year, was it? It's not been out long enough. I've not interacted with the blockchain. But if I did interact with the blockchain, I would go and get tokens in the DEXs, the aggregators, and the DeFi sphere, because in 12 months' time, when they're all printing money because there's so much money going through Sui, they're all going to pump. So, the conclusion then, I've run out of time. The conclusion then, buy, sell, or hold. I am going to see what this token does on Monday. And I'm going to look at the valuation of DeepBook on Monday. And I'm going to see if the price dumps or pumps. If this project dumps on Monday, then I will buy some DeepBook tokens. And then I will share that trade on GateIO because you can see it. And I will trade it in other places as well. If this spikes and shoots through the roof on Monday because of the FOMO and the everything around Sui, then I'll sell the token and wait for it to retrace. This isn't a sell token on the long term. This is a hold if you've got some, maybe a buy. If you've got $1,000 on GateIO, I would say put $5 into this project. The same with EigenPi, the same with a few of the tokens we've mentioned on here. They're good projects. You know, we reviewed Hamster Combat 4 or 5 weeks ago. It's a really good project. DeepBook is a really good project, but in a completely different universe. We're talking about the backbone of DeFi and the backbone of Sui. So I'm going to see what happens on Monday, but if the price tanks, I'm going to buy some. I'm not going to buy a lot, maybe $20, $30 worth, but I'm going to buy some of this token. Anyway, I have got to the end, unfortunately. I have run out of time. Thank you, everybody, for coming to the stream. Greatly appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow Crypto Warehouse on GateIO. If you're not on GateIO, the link to GateIO is underneath this video. Go and come over to GateIO. Sign up, it's free. Come and follow us on GateIO. We stream Monday to Friday. We stream 7 times a week. 5 in the day, 2 at night. Come and give us a follow. We review projects by GateIO all the time, and we give you our honest opinion. If you don't believe me, go and look at some of the reviews we've done. You'll see how badly Lunar Lens, for example, it tanked 99%. I said it was rubbish. It was rubbish. DeepBook isn't Lunar Lens. DeepBook is a solid project. So make sure to check them out on X and give them a follow. If nothing more, just to keep up to date with them. Anyway, thank you to Kishan, who has been watching. Thank you to DJ in his shoebox for watching. Thank you to Hidden Agendas in the know. Thank you to you all. Take care. Have a great Saturday. And I will see you all on GateIO on Monday. Take care.